Hey guys, this is Angelo. And as I promised in my previous video, today I'm gonna show you how to render beef tallow. We just got a fresh delivery of grass-fed beef suet, which is beef fat usually around the kidney area. It's a great fat source both on keto as well as on carnivore, especially if you're very sensitive to dairy and you can't even deal with butter, which we also really like to use. Beef tallow is not only a great source of fat and calories, but it's also high in nutrients, especially if you're getting it grass-fed. And in this case, I really think it's worth getting grass-fed as it's already quite cheap. It's very easy to render it yourself, as I'm gonna show you in a second. And it has a very high smoking point, which means it's perfect for cooking and for frying. And we love using it to make burger patties in a pan, as the flavors of the beef tallow and the burger patties mix really well, or for steaks or for frying anything else in a pan. I also heard that it's great to use on your skin, but we haven't tried it yet. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so here we have our fresh grass-fed beef suet delivery. I think this is approximately 1 kilogram. And as I mentioned, it's the fat around the kidney area of the beef. We're gonna use a cutting board, a sharp knife. We are also gonna use a food processor just to get it into smaller pieces so it melts faster and renders faster. And we're gonna use a slow cooker for our method. You can obviously also use a pot if you want. Okay, so here's how the beef suet looks once it's out of the package. As you can see, it also has a little bit of meat on it as well, which we can still eat after we're done rendering. So as I previously mentioned, in this case it's definitely worth getting grass-fed beef suet, as you can usually get it very cheaply. And the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio is gonna be much better, and it's gonna contain more nutrients. And now we're just gonna cut it into some smaller pieces. So just take a big piece, cut it lengthwise, and then into some small chunks like this. And you just want to get it small enough so you can put it in your food processor. You don't have to use a food processor, but I found that it gets it melted and rendered quicker that way than if you just put big chunks directly into the slow cooker. So that's what we've been doing. I know it's not perfect, but we have this small little food processor. And if you have a bigger one, it's probably gonna be much easier. So I'm just gonna cut a little bit more, just like that. And we're also gonna add that to the food processor until it's full. Okay, and now we're just gonna turn on our food processor, which is gonna help us make it into smaller pieces, which in turn will help the fat separate quicker in the slow cooker. Okay, so we're done processing the beef suet. It's definitely not perfect, but it's gonna get the job done. We're just gonna add it to the slow cooker. And we are already going to turn on the slow cooker and set it to high. I'm sure there are some differences between slow cookers, but this is what works best for us. And here's another little example of some tallow that we cut into small chunks. So this is the size that we're looking for, so that we can process it more easily. And if you want, you can put these chunks straight into the slow cooker as well and just skip this step, but for us this works really well, and I think it does save a little bit of time. So we're just gonna fill that up and just process it again. And we're just gonna do that for the rest of the beef suet and add it into the slow cooker. Okay, now as a last step, I'm just gonna spread it out a little bit in the slow cooker. And don't forget, I set it to high. And now we're gonna put the lid on and just wait. Okay, approximately 1.5 hours have passed. And I'm just gonna show you what it looks like right now. And I'm actually gonna mix it a tiny bit, as a lot of the fat has melted already, and we're just gonna make sure that the fat covers the other pieces and helps them melt a little bit more quickly as well. This step is probably not necessary, but I just do it anyway. Okay, now we put the lid back on and wait a couple more hours. Okay, so after approximately 6 hours in total, our tallow is ready. So let's open the lid and see how it looks. So as you can see, the fat separated really nicely. You still have some chunks. Maybe you can even try leaving it for a longer time on low temperature and see if that helps. but for us 6 hours has worked really well in the past, so we just do it this way. And look at these chunks, those are gonna be really nice little snacks. Okay, now we're just gonna pour it through a strainer, just to separate the little bits and pieces from the beef tallow. Just like that. And here's what the separated pieces of mostly meat look like. They're really crispy and we're gonna keep them as snacks. And here's our liquid gold beef tallow. And now we're just gonna put these in a separate jar and keep them in the fridge. And if we feel like it, we're just gonna add a little bit of salt and have some with a meal or as a snack. And here's that liquid, golden, nutritious grass-fed beef tallow again. Okay, so we stored it in the fridge after it cooled down and a couple of hours have passed. And as you can see, it's solidified and looks a little bit different now. And the great thing about beef tallow is that you can store it at room temperature. Okay, so now we're just gonna take some out of the big glass container. And we just add it into a smaller glass jar, which we keep right next to the stove for cooking. We're just gonna fill it up as much as possible. And here you go. Here's our beef tallow. And we're just gonna put a lid on and put it next to the stove for cooking, and the rest of it goes back into the fridge until we need a refill. Okay, so that's it for how we render beef tallow in a slow cooker. But if you only have a normal pot and you wanna do it on a stove, I'm gonna try to find a nice description how to do that, and I'm gonna put that below. One downside of preparing it in a pot on a stove for a long time is that your apartment or house is gonna have a very intense smell, which not everybody necessarily likes. And with the slow cooker, that doesn't seem to be the case. So I really appreciate that. So if you never tried rendering your own beef tallow before, definitely give it a shot. I hope this video was helpful, and if you enjoyed it, please leave me a like and subscribe if you want to see more in the future. See you soon. Bye.